Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Ali Aruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick-and-mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I'm passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love, because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you are meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Hey everyone, welcome to the Inspire and Move podcast. I am so excited for today's part one with the most incredible guest, Moira Kucaba. When we recorded this podcast, you guys, it flew like a full hour interview. It just flew on by. So I am so pumped for today's episode. Again, it is part one of a two-part series. So you can enjoy both episodes coming to you soon. But today is part one. We have such a great conversation. We dive into social media strategies. We talked about our stories. But before we dive in, I want to tell you a little bit more about Moira. Moira is a mindset mentor, international speaker, best-selling author, and founder of the High Vibe Life Co. and co-founder of the Energy Institute. With my friend Erin King, woo woo. She is known for her expertise in energy, mindset, and high performance. Moira empowers women to unlock greater impact, more income, and influence through scientifically backed techniques focused on visualization, belief, and personal transformation. I can see all of this so clearly because she had so many incredible things to share in this conversation. So I hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to the High Vibe Life podcast with me, Moira Kucaba, and we are in for a treat today. You are in for a treat today. I have the one and only Ali Aruda in the house. Welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And we're going to do something really fun. Now, literally in the first 30 seconds of us connecting on this, I already know you're totally my people. And we're going to do a little podcast swap, meaning we're going to share this on both of our podcast platforms, which is really fun and exciting. So thanks for that great idea.
My pleasure.
So fun. So, you guys, if you know me, obviously my listeners know that I'm very much in the moment. I prepare for things, but I also just let God, source energy, whatever you want to call it, kind of take the lead. Wherever the conversation goes, it goes. So, we're actually going to bat some things back and forth with zero preparation. So let's go ahead and just start there. And we're just winging it. We're winging it for you guys. We are here to serve you guys at the highest level. So Ali, before or as we get in, I should say, tell the people who you are and what do you do in the world?
I love it. So first of all, I love that you are so high vibe and that we both came in with the exact same energy. They were like, yeah, we're just going to make this work because we have busy lives and busy schedules and we're both excited to have each other on our shows. So why not just like do this with one shot together and we're going to throw ourselves to the wind together side by side. And I couldn't love it more. So for those of you that are listening, especially to Moira's show and from Moira's community, I am a Canadian girl based in Ontario, and I am a luxury gym owner. I own a beautiful boutique brick and mortar space with my husband, Matt. And I also am very active in the online space with coaching and building and running communities, guest coaching and masterminds, as well as serving my own one-on-one clients and in-person events here in Canada and a little bit in the US. I love to do a lot of things.
Yes, multifaceted, multi-amazingness. I love that so much. And well, I'll just jump in right behind you for your community. So again, it's always hard to answer that question, isn't it? Because we do so many things. And so when people like that really don't know me ask me what I do, I'm like kind of stammering. I'm like, where do I begin? How do I put this in a box? But I too am very, present on the online space, and I have a big Instagram following, TikTok following. But it all started really with this step about 12 years ago into the online space with coaching online and then mentoring coaches online, launching my own mastermind, launching a podcast, launching a couple books to go along with that. So very, very similar. And I ironically, I actually owned a Pilates studio for the first half of my career. Yeah, you might not have known that. Not everybody does. So I owned a Pilates studio for 17 years before switching into the online coaching space. So that's really fun.
Okay, that is so fun. I did not know that. Now,
Yeah.
I would love to know because, especially being someone who also has probably actively participated in and now also runs your own masterminds, what I find when I go into masterminds, my husband and I are very passionate about investing in that form of personal and
Yes.
business development every year, which I'm sure we could
Yes.
touch on. I always
Hmm.
find that the brick and mortar people, we are a smaller percentage compared to, the coaches, the online businesses, the service-based providers that are not location specific. How have
Hmm.
you found that transition from, running and experiencing the energy and the community of a brick and mortar space to then not having that and being able to serve more actively online?
Yeah, gosh. I mean, it was the biggest breath of fresh air in the whole entire world, right? So when you own a brick and mortar, you are the business owner. I was very much a solopreneur. So I had this amazing community of teachers and students that gave me a lot of life and I loved it so much, but I was alone in the business game, and so another piece of that puzzle is I had stepped into direct sales, something I swore I would never do. And so, whether you're in direct sales or just the world of online coaching and mastermind, it is what accelerates everything, right? I mean, people so often back in the day would ask me like, "Gosh, Moira, you had this like beautiful six-figure business, multi six-figure business, but like it seems like overnight you built a multi-million dollar business." And they're like, "How did that happen?" And the difference is exactly what you're saying, Allie. I stepped into rooms with other business owners that were running similar businesses where I got to mastermind and sit around the table and share best practices. And everybody's pulling back the curtain on, like, this is really working for me. This isn't working for me. You should do this. And just giving their expertise away. And then you're doing the same. And it becomes this insanely amazing collaborative space where there's a saying that you can collapse decades into days or decades into months, and that was my experience. It was like, really, I don't even want to say decades because I would never have been able to build what I built in my lifetime had I not gotten into spaces and places with other entrepreneurs that were doing the exact same thing I was doing in the world, but they were kind of over there in their corner and I was over here in my corner and we got to build together. So it's been a total game changer for me.
We always say how it's the shortcut, and we
Yeah.
really started investing bigger dollars. And now I'll actually back up because, similar to yourself, I also have experience in direct sales, which is always interesting when
Yes.
you meet people who are like, oh, we vibe and we have like similar paths in the past. And I
Yes.
loved seeing so many friends that you and I also share in common that
Hmm.
we have like a similar path. And I'm saying that in almost like air quotes because it's similar to an extent. But these years of direct sales, network marketing, I feel like that is entrepreneurship with training wheels. It's such a
Yes.
low investment, low risk, but high resilience. So you learn what it is like to be told no and
Yeah.
to dive into personal development, which then I feel
Hmm.
like has really set us up to be excellent entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I know. And I think this, obviously, we're not going to go necessarily down the whole like network marketing rabbit hole, but like I wish for the world that there wasn't such a stigma because
Mm.
it's as simple as thinking of, speaking on stage was like my biggest fear in life. Like I hated, I can remember getting physically ill before I had to go like speak and do something in college in front of my class. Like sitting outside the building, I remember the bench, I remember the feeling. And then fast forward, all of a sudden in direct sales, they're like, "Hey, we'd like for you to speak on stage." And I was like, "Okay." It was the first speaking engagement, 20,000 people in the Superdome. And I'm like, talk about like fast tracking your, just the kind of the situations you're in and the way that you have to grow so quickly and the way that you have. I mean, if I wanted to be a keynote speaker, most keynote speakers never in their lifetime will be in front of 20,000 people in the Superdome. And there I was, like 2 years into network marketing, like figuring out and stepping into that version of myself that could present on stage in the Superdome. And so, yes, it's just this beautiful fast track of entrepreneurship and resiliency and just identity shifting, right? And I'm sure that it was the same for you.
Oh my gosh, same. And I credit it because it really showed me a bigger picture for
Mhm.
entrepreneurship. That growing up, I wanted to be an actress. And
Yeah.
what's interesting about that is that I think I also really wanted to be famous. And it's
Mm.
so wild. I was having this conversation on a walk just this weekend with my husband about like what's the why behind that? Like why would I have wanted to be
Yes.
famous? And I'm still working on that because I didn't answer the question very succinctly when he asked me that. So I'll have to get back to you. But it's interesting to kind of look at it from a lens of social media and
Mhm.
visibility, which is something that I am so
Yes.
passionate about and something that I am coaching a lot of other female entrepreneurs on in this current landscape of entrepreneurship and the tools that we have access to, but how visibility is such a big part of our growth as entrepreneurs, whether you are brick and mortar or if you are product, if you are service, it's across the board. Visibility is so key. Is that something that
Yes.
feels in alignment for you and who you serve in
Oh,
your communities?
absolutely. I mean, we are in this golden age of social media, right? And we don't really know how long that's going to last. I mean, I don't see it going anywhere in the near future. But the fact that you can become known, that you can become visible, that you can become your own personal brand, that you can have such a footprint on the world through social media, working from your own home on something as simple as a mobile device is it's a crazy opportunity. And I feel like we're so in it that sometimes we don't realize how opportune it is, right? And I'd love to ask you when you're coaching these people on visibility, because I do the same, right? And I want to speak to kind of that segment of the population that's on social media, but they haven't, maybe they're just got a couple thousand followers or even a couple hundred followers. Like, where do you start with people that really have that dream and that vision for more visibility, more brand awareness, that dream to build a personal brand and make impact? Where do you start with people?
I'll start with consistency. And
Yeah.
that is something I think that also it ties in so beautifully with my role as, gym owner, personal trainer, fitness girl,
Hmm.
as well as the, coaching hat that Allie wears to coach people specifically on visibility. Both like whether it's your fitness goals or your visibility goals, both require consistent action. And
Yes.
that is where I start with them. I say, even if you need to just start by posting one story per day, that is the best place to start. And maybe
Yeah.
it's a story of like you've taken a video or a photo of your morning coffee in your book. And then perhaps that story turns into a face to camera story. And
Mm.
then you're just getting more comfortable. And, even if you're thinking of like walking into the ocean, that it's your toes and then your foot and then your ankle and a little further along. But I think also it's really important to be showing up authentically and not doing something
Yes.
that you think your audience wants to see because people are really smart and they're getting so specific with how they consume, but more so engage with the content. So
Yes.
you need to be you and speak
Yeah.
to what it is that you do. How do you help someone? How can you change their life and impact their life
Mm.
positively?
So good, so good. I find myself saying over and over again in trainings these days, like, how would you fill in the blank if somebody said, "Oh my gosh, you've got to go follow Ali Aruda because
Yeah.
X." Like, what is the X? Why are they going to come to you to hit the follow button, right? Is it because so often I think we fall into documenting our life, and that can be inspirational and that can be beautiful, right? But
Mhm.
so often people aren't gaining that footprint and gaining that following without adding a lot of value, without this thing that like she does this. She, does high protein recipes and I make them all the time and they're amazing. Or she does these daily meditations and I do them all the time and they've changed my life. It's like, what is that thing that you are building your personal brand around, right?
Mhm.
Because there's multiple pillars that we should have. We want to be showing behind the curtain. We want to be showing our real day in and day out life. But what is that thing that you're standing for, that you're building your brand on, that you're giving value to your audience for? How are you going to fill in the blank? And I think that question really is a wake up call for people because they might even be consistent, right? They might be
Yeah.
posting every day, they might be in their stories every day, but they can't fill in the blank. And it's really filling in the blank that's so key.
Well, and I think it's also like looking at your content always, like regularly, whether it's every day, every week, and studying it as data. You know, what works. I'm right now in this little flow of posting effectively like trends that I see in these trending audios that I'll look at and be like, this feels like it has absolutely nothing that connects to my personal brand or to benchmark fitness. But that I was talking to my best friend about this, and she's like, no, it's visibility though. Like you're being
Mhm.
visible. And for some of these, it's actually just like it helps me spike my engagement and attract new
Yes.
followers. And it's me dancing around to some sort of, dazzling raspberry or glitter gremlin audio that doesn't feel like how I'm not providing value in this piece of content to my audience, but it's almost like it's attraction based marketing that I will
Yes.
now sprinkle into the content that I put together.
Yes. Oh my gosh, let's land on that for a moment because I think it's so important. And please listen to Allie when she's telling you this
Yeah.
because you guys, yes, I've built an audience and I've been in the online space, but most of my success has been behind the curtain, right? It's what I'm doing one on one. It's what I'm doing coaching my business behind the online persona. It's only been this year. So like 10, 12 years into being on social media that I'm like, I should actually take this seriously. I should start looking at every piece of content like data, like you said,
Mhm.
and understanding what it means to actually build on social media. And it was 10 years of being consistent, but it was 10 years of like not looking at it from a data perspective, right? And so I just started doing this and same thing. I'm realizing that there's pieces of content that add value that people are going to save or share or really engage with your niche content, right? What we do. But then there's other days where I'm like, this is just a viralish piece that is going to bring me the right audience. So I just had this happen. I had a piece go viral like maybe 2 weeks ago. And I was talking to my assistant, and she's like, well, Moira, that didn't do anything for us because there was no call to action. There was no anything. And I'm like, it was a reel specifically talking to women in their 40s in midlife about being like finding themselves and finding their joy again. And it resonated with millions of people. I'm like, if you don't think that didn't bring us like just tons of people that are exactly my target audience that I want to help and I want to serve at the highest level, so again, there's days where we're posting content to gain followers, but maybe not converting them to a sale. And then there's other content that's converting. Can you dig a little deeper on that and what that might look like for you as you kind of map out your social media week?
Well, I love what you're saying too about because I feel the same in terms of like the attraction marketing, let's call it, like what went viral
Hmm.
for you, me dancing around throwing raspberries in my face. We'll call that attraction Instagram. But then I think people are also smart, going back to that moment where if you have every single post that's kind of ManyChat automated, where it's like comment coaching, comment weight loss, that's then people might actually even, I think, potentially lose interest in your content because it's like, well, all it is it's like giving me this ManyChat funnel of having me want
Hmm.
to buy something or like having them be targeted for an offer or an opt-in or a sale. So I think by having a variety of content that gives people this broader stroke of who Moira is, who Allie is, and getting to
Yes.
know us and what's important. And now I'm looking at certain pieces of content that are like filler content, air quotes,
Hmm.
where I'll now do a roundup of like, okay, April in photos. April in photos
Yes.
has nothing really to do with anything that I am selling. However, I take a lot of gym selfies, and that is at the gym that I own. So people will
Yep.
see on repeat Benchmark Fitness on Ali Aruta's Instagram because that's the gym that I own, and that's the gym that I train at 6 days a week, and that I'm actively always selling memberships and personal training for. So I try to
Yeah.
have that naturally feed into my personal brand, even though it's not, talking to camera videos about the 4 membership spots we have left and the personal training promotions that we have.
Hmm. Yes, I love that so much. It's funny because I just brought fitness content back onto my social for the first time in many years. And so I would love your thoughts around this. So this was kind of my own journey with like my personal brand. I would walk into like everyone knows the people that know me that, pay high ticket mastermind prices, all the people I work with, they're like, you're just like a genius when it comes to mindset and personal growth. And I teach frameworks and processes. And like, that's my passion. That's my fire. That's what lights me up. And what I realized is I'd go into a room of people that didn't know me that well, and they'd be like, oh, well, Moira is the fitness person. And I'm like, I'm not the fitness person. Stop saying I'm the fitness person. Like, I'm not the
Ah.
fitness person. For years, I fought it, right? But health is such a huge part of me. Like, I do work out 6 days a week. It is it's a massive priority. It's my foundation of everything I've ever done in my life. And so I wanted to be this mindset girl. And what
Mhm.
I realized is I had to bring back the piece of me that I think people really kind of wanted more of. So one of my good friends, Erin King, who you know,
Love
she's
Erin.
she she's the best. And one time I kind of was having this like, identity crisis thing with her with exactly what I'm talking about. And she's like, Moira, you know what they say? She's like, you're not who you think you are. You're what other people say you are when you're not in the room. And I was like, what? And I was like, everyone says I'm the fitness girl. So I was like, again, not pivoting from like, okay, I'm not the mindset girl anymore. Now I'm the fitness girl, but bringing that in to be cohesive because it is such a huge part of who I am. And the thing that I was fighting for so many years, now all of a sudden, I feel more authentically me than ever. Like it's crazy, but I wasn't bringing it forward because I'm like, but I'm not selling fitness. So why would I share fitness? You know?
Totally. But I think there is such an amazing relationship between health and mindset. And
Yeah.
it also speaks to discipline. So maybe, yes, you're not selling fitness programs or you don't have a Pilates studio anymore. You're not an online personal trainer, but the discipline that comes
Mhm.
from training 6 days a week and looking at your content, you train pretty dang hard because you got a rockin' bod that you're also doing exercises and creating fitness related content that speaks to your ideal client in their
Yeah.
midlife.
Yep.
So you're having that like bridge almost between the things, an area that's important to you with fitness, and that's how you maybe start your day, or if it's how you break in the middle of your day. But it also kind of builds those discipline focused
Mhm.
habits that is required for deep mindset work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because that's something that I have taught for years because I feel like most people obviously understand exercise, even if they're not doing it, but we don't always understand mindset. And I
Mhm.
say the same thing about my mindset work. I'm like, you guys, we understand that like if we don't go to like we can't go to the gym on Monday and like not again the rest of the week and expect results. It's the same thing with mindset. Like it's a muscle that we have to use every single day, even if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes of some type of process that you are rewiring your brain because it is just as easy. It's actually easier to change your brain than it is your muscles, I think. But
Mhm.
we are spending time in the gym trying to change our body, and we're not sitting down on the couch trying to change our brain, right? So, yeah, I love that of course, you totally get that connection.
I
Can we
totally get it. And
dive
I
deep?
always, oh, sorry, I was
Go
gonna say, I
ahead.
always use the example of pull-ups. And my husband always laughs
Mm,
at me because I use it like every single time when I can and as an analogy. And it's something that I am working on actively right now, which is so it's very fresh on my mind. But you can't expect to do like 6 pull-ups with never building the foundation of, a lat pull down, a bent over row, and also
mhm.
trying to do a pull-up, at the first week of March and then not until the third week of May. Like you're not that's not going to work.
Right, right, right. I love that so much. And it's so true. It's so true. Except, I mean, on the flip side, we expect these like leaps and bounds in our business or our identity, or like, gosh, I sat down and I did my vision board and now it's May 11th and like it's not happening. And I'm like, well,
Yes.
what did you do from January 2nd to May 11th every day for that vision, for your mind, for your mindset? Um, Going back to social media though, because I
Yeah.
love now that I'm finally figuring this out for myself. Will you go back and dig into a little bit of how you look at the data and what you are looking at, right? Because we're so trained just to look at likes. We're
Mhm.
so trained to, I mean, Instagram literally shows us our views. I'm like, why don't they highlight, like, you should be able to toggle over and look at different metrics. Obviously, you can in your insights, but front and center on your feed, they're going to show you views and likes.
Mhm.
What data points do you actually look at to see if content is performing well for you?
I will look at saves and shares.
Hmm.
And one thing that's interesting that I can even point out that's something that I've seen with our benchmark Instagram, which is a much different, like we're a location based brick and mortar, but we will do some things that again are kind of like quote unquote attraction marketing on Instagram that our videographer that we hire a videographer on retainer for our content, and he had brought us the idea of creating a friends inspired video that shows like the whole benchmark team and highlights some members. He bought the rights to the friends theme song. That video will get like hundreds of shares, and that will bring in
Wow.
new members. So now that's something we kind of plan to film every quarter. And so I think being
Yeah.
able to see what works. I've done carousels that are, this gym is for you if, this gym is not for you if, that's speaking on the negative
Mm.
side, trying to see and understand, like for our brick and mortar, what works. For my personal brand, I will also look at the content that brings me non followers. So looking
Hmm.
at the insights, looking at the views. And again, it's those things that are like glitter gremlins and dazzling raspberries and sunshine donuts, whatever these audios I find. That's what brings me a lot of non-followers. So it
Yeah.
increases my follower count, which is still, I think, very much a vanity metric. But
Hmm.
I don't know about you, Moira, but I still like it. I still like seeing
Yeah.
when
Oh, yes.
my number increases of my followers and my views number increases. But it's
Yes.
more so the saves and the shares and how you're attracting those non-followers to then continue building your audience.
Yes. So, 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 so good. I love that. And I think, again, just sharing my own experience, I've sat down 1,000 times in the last 10 or 11 years and been like, okay, I'm going to figure out the social media thing. And what I mean by that is kind of planning out what I'm going to do, like coming up
Mhm.
with a plan, right? And I think a lot of us that are new on social media or trying to build on social media are coming up with the plan. But I think what I've done this last year is yes, you obviously have to come up with a content plan. Like, this is the type of content, this is what I'm trying to get, all of that. But most people stop there. And what
Mm.
you're saying is it's the back end of that. It's like the plan's never going to work. You're just throwing the plan out there to see maybe the 10% that actually gets traction, doubling down on that 10%, and then refiguring out the rest of it that's not getting traction. So it's this data driven tweaking of what your plan is versus like, this is what I do on social media. And it's like, I did that for 10 years. Like, I just kept sharing on social media without changing it from the back end. And it's the
Mhm.
back end that changes the game for people.
I will also go in and look at, talking about these insights and the metrics. I'll also look at the type of content that brought in those non followers. So, effectively, what brought in new eyes?
Hmm.
And then if that's also content that I can recreate. So, if it was a
Hmm.
carousel that maybe gave 5 tips to increase your visibility, okay, well, I've shared that content via a Instagram carousel. Now, can I
Hmm.
take that content and use it as a talking to camera video? Could it be a B-roll text on screen? And finding
Yes.
that content that works, that has brought in new eyeballs. Perhaps it's also converted to, a new coaching client or a mastermind client. And then know, like, okay, great, it works. People want this. So let me
Hmm.
make more of this, but let me also be efficient with my time and creativity.
Yes.
Just take the content and recreate it. And that is something that
Yes.
I have taught. And I am, and I get this feeling for you too. Like, I'm no gatekeeping. Like, if it
Yeah.
worked for me, I want it to work for you, and I am happy to share.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think, I love that. That is like one of the most life-giving, like heavy sigh of relief things that you can say, because I know when I started to go get serious about social this year and like actually tackle it, it was a massive lift in the beginning. Like,
Mhm.
I was thinking about like hooks every single day and, is it a carousel? Is it a B-roll? Is it what kind of content is it, and then what's the caption, is there a call to action, is there not a call to action, if there's a call to action, what's the freemium on the back end, what's the ManyChat, like you got to think about 10 things with every piece of content. And what I finally realized as we started to find a piece that hit and another piece that hit and another piece that hit, it was like, wait a second, this is kind of a game that you're
Mhm.
really looking for. I mean, we could argue maybe even 10 or maybe it's 50, right? But
Yeah.
10 to 50 pieces of content that hit, and then all you're doing is recreating and recreating and recreating and recreating. And I'm like, oh, so I'm not going to have to do what felt like that massive heavy lift forever. But it is necessary in the beginning to find the pieces of content that do well that then you can repurpose.
Oh, totally. And I am all for repurposing content. That last year at the mastermind that Matt and I were in last year and again this year, but Brock Johnson was one of the
Yeah.
keynote guest speakers. And I think I actually asked him the question, point blank, raised my hand. I was like, can I reuse content? And I got a resounding yes from him. So I'm like, okay, if
Yes.
Brock Johnson told me yes, I'm going to take that and run with
Hmm.
it. So I will go through my feed every couple weeks and see, and I don't know about you, but I also love watching back some of my content and be like, oh my God, that was
Yes.
so well made. It's so well curated.
Yes.
And I will reuse it because maybe your raving fans will remember it and be like, oh my gosh, I love this workout series that Moira posted. Love that she's posting it again. You'll have those
Yep.
people. Sure, maybe you'll have some people that will say, like, oh my gosh, she already posted this. Like, eye roll, whatever. Who cares about them? Trolls. But then you'll have people that have newly found you. So they're
Right.
seeing this content for the very first time.
Yeah. Yeah. I can remember hearing from Brock recently that every single piece of good content, and we're not even talking about repurposing, should be reshared 3 times, right? Like if you
Hmm.
haven't shared it in a month, reshare it. And I mean, talk about like the weight of the world where you're like, oh, I can just copy paste and repost. And that was such an easy lift for the day. I love that so, so, so much. So talk to me about this too, Allie. When you come into working with somebody that's kind of at this place where they found some content pillars that work and they're starting to get traction. You mentioned ManyChat. You know, even for me, when ManyChat first came about, it's like any new piece of tech. It's like, I have to learn something all new. It's like, you just feel like it's going to be the hardest thing in the world. And then you're like, you finally do it. And you're like, oh, that was a walk in the park. But where do you see them or where do you direct them to next? Like, let's start building out, free lead magnets or many chat flows. What does that look like? Do you push them to like collect emails? Tell me about that.
Well, do you want to hear a cute, very endearing little story about ManyChat?
Yes, please.
So before I signed on and got a ManyChat subscription, I was seeing people do this like on Instagram, like comment,
Yes.
fit, or whatever the word may be. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to follow this trend. I'm going to use it. So I would do that to sell. I think at the time I was doing it to focus on some event tickets. So I would
Yeah.
pick the word and I would reply manually. But I'd be like, hey, Moira, da, da, da. Like I was just following the trend, not knowing there was
Right.
literally a company called ManyChat that does it for you.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Well, and I've done the same. And I actually advise people of that at first, right? Like if you don't have a huge social media engaged following and you're like, oh, I think I need to learn ManyChat because so many entrepreneurs, it's the start that stops them. They're not doing it. What's
Mhm.
stopping them is like they're thinking they're not successful because they don't have ManyChat. I'm like, listen, you're probably going to have like 6 people drop the word. You don't need ManyChat. Like you can manually respond, So there's
Totally.
that side of it too. Yeah, but go ahead. I love this story.
And I sometimes still actually like that. I used to have it. So what I really use it for now is actually just thanking people for the new follow. Like, thanks so much for
Mm,
following. And I will ask them a question like, are you here for the content or are you here to grow your business?
yeah,
And the percentage that replies to that is probably 50% or less. So
yeah,
sometimes that actually allows for me to open the conversation to be like, okay, great. You're here to grow your business. Wonderful. What do you do? Where are you based? And some
yeah,
of those conversations will then convert to one on one coaching. For the
yeah.
most
I love
part,
that.
it's just like a courtesy connection. I
Right.
previously had one set up for like anytime someone would tag me in content, but that one got excessive. And when I recently was in Australia, I surprised my best friend on the other side of the world for her birthday.
Oh, fun.
And it was so fun. But she was tagging me in so much content. She's like, your ManyChat automation is the most annoying thing. So I turned it
Right.
off.
I have run into that too, because obviously ManyChat, you drop a word, it triggers the response.
Hmm.
And so I'm in so many conversations all day long in my DMs that I'm constantly going in and seeing like all these ManyChat responses are dropped in the middle of the conversation. And I'm like, like quietly deleting them and then responding. So yes, it can get a little excessive. I agree. I agree.
I like
Going
it
back
for
to
the.
email,
Oh, yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No,
I
I
was
was
just
just
going
going
to
to
say
say,
for
yeah. Go for it, Allie. Go for it.
I was just gonna say on ManyChat, like I think it is a great tool that entrepreneurs can have. I also agree with you that I think for someone that's just starting out, I mean, it's not a big investment every month, but if you are paying for, podcasting or social media support, like it's just another expense, that I think it's totally something that people can do manually. And then you can make it even better because maybe one person gets a written message from you, maybe one person gets a voice memo. And I think that
Yep.
is such a great engagement tool. And I would, for people listening to both of our shows, like not to overlook the ability to voice connect with someone in the DMs on Instagram, I think can be so
Yes.
needle moving and so powerful. Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much to me if you took a few seconds and shared this on social media, sent it to a friend, or left a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I'm so grateful to have you part of mine.